Number 10, the walking worm. Okay, this was my nickname back in high school. Nice, good to be back. This one sounds nice. Earthworm Jim, Gumby, I got them all. Just a walking, lanky worm dude. Meet the Hallucigenia fortis, named by Simon Conway Morris back in 1979. Conway Morris named it Hallucigenia fortis because of its bizarre and dreamlike quality. Sure, art's subjective, I guess, to each their own. There were over 109 specimens of these strange aquatic creatures, and they ranged in size from half a centimeter to 3 centimeters long. Now, number 10 on our list, okay, gotta start small, not too large, and since it was an invertebrate, it lacked a spine. Just like me, no spine, you know, just all worm. Just all air, like an inflatable person. Defining features of the walking worm, as its name suggests, were these tentacles that protruded out from the body. It had spikes that it maybe and possibly probably walked on. How terrifying is that? And in 2015, scientists realized where its head was. Yeah, its real head. We thought a fossilized stain was its head for like 35 years, and then in 2015, we found its real head, and it looks like it's grinning almost, with 2 eyes. Dare I say worse than the stain? Let's stop looking.
Number 9, the big fin squid. From the Magnapinidae family, the big fin squid, or as I like to call it, this ocean alien with shoulders and elbows, belongs to a group of rarely seen cephalopods with a distinctive morphology, meaning that they're really weird looking and really rare. The first record of us catching and looking at this thing comes from 1907 in the Azores, but due to the damaged nature of the find, little information could be actually extracted. It just looked like a piece of wet crinoline pulled out of a lake. During the 80s, 5 specimens were found in the Atlantic and Pacific, so eventually the creature found a place amongst the books as its own species, entering the Magnapinidae, or squids. So it's not actually a squid, but like a third cousin. This thing looks like it crashed here on an asteroid, doesn't it? The arms are huge and held perpendicular to the body, creating the illusion of arms and elbows, giving it its trademark alien figure. Some of these things are longer than 10 meters too. That's like a school bus. These things are definitely living under the ice on Jupiter. I'm just gonna say it. I said it.
Number 8, giant dragonfly. Dragonflies are awesome. I have a dragonfly tattoo. I had to check which arm. That's awesome. Welcome to being 28, I guess. But these sticky lads are old school, okay? Dragonflies are sweet. They were the first winged insects to ever evolve 300 million years ago. Modern dragonflies have wingspans of only 2 to 5 inches, but ancient giant dragonflies, again, as their name suggests, well, their wingspan was 2 to 3 feet. They're a lot bigger and scarier and stickier. I hope they never come back to this size. Again, like I mentioned in part 1, it's that high oxygen level that does the body good. Yeah, the Paleozoic era had these beasts hovering around because, you know, the air was too good back then. Nearly all of their head is its eye, so you're f***ed in every angle, basically. The movie Dune, if you've seen this recently, great film. The ornithopters, they're engineered to fly like a dragonfly. This is based on real life science. Engineers in real life are studying dragonflies, their flight patterns right now with their wings. Just keep them small and we're good. Study away. Keep them small, please.
In our number 7 spot today, we have the Pliosaurus, another massive prehistoric creature, also not to be confused with the Plesiosaurus. I was confused in the beginning. These guys grew to be around 40 feet long and about the size of some of the whales that we would see today. These creatures are best known for their insane hunting abilities. They could move quickly and were quite strong. This effective predator skill set, coupled with their massive size, allowed them the ability to take down much larger prey, sometimes even dinosaurs. According to experts, these guys had exceptionally strong jaws. Some even believe that it might have had a bite just as powerful as a T-Rex, which is of course known for having one of the most powerful bites of any land animal. I'm just saying, these guys were definitely a top predator in their day. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Jaekelopterus. Okay, I've got 3 words for you. Giant sea scorpion. Yeah, remind me to never go into the prehistoric ocean. This 8-foot-long arthropod lived in the water with its gross, too large pincers and claws, and honestly, it looks like something out of the movie Alien. These guys had segmented bodies, and they're actually the largest known arthropod to have ever existed here on Earth. They had multiple specialized limbs, and some of them even had spikes. Like, for example, their 18-inch spiked claw that was used to snatch fish that passed by. It is said that some of these guys would crawl out of the water in order to mate and sometimes shed their outer skin, and all I had have to say is imagine finding an 8-foot-long molt of one of these creatures on the beach right before you jump in for a swim. You wouldn't, right? I'd swear off all water after that. In our number 5 spot today, we have the Jaekelopterus. Okay, listen, there are many problems with our modern world. We could sit here all day talking about them. We could even go into next week, there are so many. But here's the thing we need to realize. Things could be so much worse, and by worse, I mean that this creature could still exist. This animal existed somewhere around 250 million years ago, and while it looks more like a shark than anything else, scientists now know that it was actually a creature that is related more closely to chimeras, which are a fish that separated from the shark family about 400 million years ago. So why is this animal so scary and just terrible to look at? Well, that is due to the incredibly unsettling spiral saw formation of teeth that this creature had right on their lower jaw. Yeah, an orthodontist's dream, truly. It's also not like this creature was just born with the teeth that they had for the rest of their lives. No, of course not. They had teeth that could grow and new teeth could even form. Imagine being in the ocean and you see a huge creature swim up to you that has 4 spiral saws for teeth. Yeah, no thanks. In our number 4 spot today, we have the Mosasaurus. During the Cretaceous period, which spanned about 145.5 to 65.5 million years ago, there was this genus of reptiles called Mosasaurus. These guys were absolutely huge aquatic reptiles that roamed throughout the waterways here on Earth. Because of their size, they became apex predators during this time, and they have been estimated to have grown to about 56 feet. At the time of their existence, it isn't exactly likely that they would have encountered any sharks that are alarmingly large like the Megalodon was, but I mean the Cretaceous period certainly had some other massive creatures that put up some pretty stiff competition. This is of course, like I mentioned, an entire genus, so there are definitely some less threatening species in the mix, but there are some in there who would have given the Meg a run for their money should they have existed at the same time.
Number 3. Jaekelopterus, from Dunkel's bones, named after paleontologist David Dunkel, who discovered and studied the fossils. Ostis is Greek for bone, referring to the giant tectonic plates looking things that this thing is made up of. Being one of the largest and most powerful fish ever to swim in our waters, ever, these swimming tanks could eat pretty well anything it wanted, including other Dunkelostuses. This thing was top dog. The first remains were discovered along Lake Erie cliffs. That's scary, that's like right over there. Dunkelostus could suck in and bite straight through any animal alive at the time, from the thick-shelled ammonites to the other placoderms with body armor. This thing was basically like the great-great-grandfather of any fish who eats other fish. They would even bite each other and dent their own armor. Their diet shifted from soft-bodied prey such as whales and sharks to larger armored prey such as placoderms. Basically it liked to eat the little crunchy stuff instead of the soft-bodied megalodons. What a sentence.
Number 2, the moa. This New Zealand bird went extinct about 600 years ago. See, moa, they were these flightless birds, massive, might I add, and archaeologists first discovered its fossil in a cave, just hidden in the very back, right in the depths. Its flesh and everything was still attached. See, these ancient birds would reach about 5 feet tall, and when you think of dinosaurs, you probably think that's quite petite in comparison, but no, listen up. The birds stopped flying right after the dinosaurs went extinct. According to biologist Matthew Phillips from the Australian National University of Canberra, once the dinosaurs off, they now had freedom. They could go outside without having to make any daring escapes, right? They weren't terrified every day to be lunch. They walked around, they got fat, and they hung out in caves. So it might seem a little depressing to watch a creature lose the ability to fly, but it's because they're eating good, you know? They're good problems, right? Scientists have recently discovered moa DNA from ancient eggshells, so there's a possibility we might see these fatties hit the skies once again. Let's keep them on Weight Watchers this time around, you know? Let's keep them in the sky, keep them.
Number 1. Eurypterid. Long story short, an ancient huge sea scorpion. That's it. I'm done. No, I said no spiders, earwigs, and scorpions. No, that's it. An extinct group of arthropods that formed 470 million years ago, with 250 species of its own, the Euryptid is the most diverse Paleozoic class of its time. This is like the first of the creepy crawly stinger pincher things, you know? They declined in numbers and diversity until becoming extinct during the Triassic extinction event about 250 million years ago. Yeah, thank God. I can't even put a crayfish on a hook without squirming. Called sea scorpions, of course, because of 2 qualities. Being able to go in and out of water, and having 2 sets of lungs. Yeah, this thing's a fossil, right? This thing just got way more terrifying. They are the largest known arthropods ever to have lived on Earth, ranging anywhere between a foot and 4 feet big. That's a longboard, Taylor. A skateboard with claws and pinchers and a tail, in and out of the water. Alright, the animal kingdom. How beautiful. Number 10. Longisquama. Longisquama is a very crucial genus of extinct reptile. I feel like I already sound like David Attenborough, dude.
The Longisquama insignis from the Middle to Late Triassic Formation.
That was not bad. That was not bad, come on. Longisquama means long scales. Insignis means small. The Longisquama insignis is notable for a number of long structures that appear to grow from its skin. Little mohawk boys, you know? These things were rad looking. They were diapsids, which was a reptile subclass. A small group of climbing and gliding reptiles. Little jumper dudes. These guys were awesome. Little mohawk tree dudes. They lived in forests located on the supercontinent once called Pangaea. Its most notable feature is a double row of long scale-like pins running along its back, forming 6 to 8 pairs. It had 1 pair of scales for each of its pair of ribs, like knight's armor, little mini tectonic plates, mixed with feathers on top, and we get Longisquama scales. Could be rows of wolverine claws, could be rows of feathers or dragonfly-ish wings. Scientists still don't know. This little mohawk boy is sick though. Little flying dude. Those are definitely little dragonfly wings, I'm calling it.
Number 9. Kronosaurus. Okay, Kyle and I, we had a different dinosaur animated movie growing up as kids, okay? Today you got the little dinosaur, that's cute, that's great animation. Back when we were younger, we had the scary dinosaur movie. Remember that one? Where none of them talked, with the Kronosaurus guy as the villain. Yeah, that one didn't talk. It was just the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm pretty sure I walked out of that theater. Didn't say a peep. And this guy didn't have to, really. Look at him. The Kronosaurus was a unit. Yeah, they thankfully disappeared 69 million years ago. Nice. They were around the same size as a T-Rex, coming in at about 29 feet long, but they were nicknamed meat-eating bulls. So, yeah, that ought to tip you why they were the villains in said movie. They would run at about 25 miles an hour. They're one of the fastest and largest moving theropods to ever live. Its arms were smaller than that of a T-Rex, so we can roast them in some capacity, okay? We got them on some, on something. But honestly, it didn't matter because this one had horns, hence the meat-eating bull alias. It was rediscovered in 1984 by Jose Bonaparte in Argentina. They've only discovered 1 skeleton of these things, so hopefully there weren't too many of these poking around. Yeah, Annalena took me to see this one. I'm pretty sure I walked out. It fucked me up good. The scary guy, he runs out so fast. God, he's so fast.
Number 7. The Frilled Shark. Chlamydos ingenius, aka the Frilled Shark, is the extinct species of shark that once swam our oceans. Thank gosh. Well, actually kinda still does. Oh. The frilled shark is considered a living fossil, not just its age and time spent surfing the coast, due to its primitive eel-like brown body. Its snake-like jaws, 8-foot body, and the way it moves under the water are all common in ancient serpents and water creatures. Yeah, this thing's a water dragon, basically. This thing's like an eel-serpent-shark hybrid. It swims the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, usually in deep, murky water. So am I just gonna snorkel into one of these things any day now? Good thing is that these things are really hard to find. Really hard. Usually caught by accident in commercial fishing nets, usually at depths anywhere between 50 and 1,000 meters. So unless you're free diving at night and have a supersonic lung span, you should be okay.
Number 6, the gastric brooding frog. I'm a big fan of frogs, except for when they, hatch out of their back. I don't like that. It's arguably the worst thing I've ever seen online, and I have read it, and have had read it for years. These frogs would swallow its egg back in the day, and then they would hatch them out of their mouth. If you watched it backwards, you'd be like, no, stop. They all went extinct back in 1983, but scientists have somehow figured out how to implant dead cells into a fresh egg from an entirely different frog species. So we may just see this fancy frog make a fancy comeback. Yeah, let's just hope these ones aren't born out of their backs. Do you want to see it? I feel like you want to see it. There it is. Enjoy. You asked for it. Thumbs up for this. It's life. It's nature.
Number 5, the giant sloth. Megatherium is an extinct species of ground sloth. Locals to South America, they lived between the Pliocene through the Pleistocene eras. Basically like a really long time. Yeah, this thing was big and heavy as a modern day elephant, but sloth form. This massive beast was first discovered in 1788 on the banks of Argentina. The bones, of course, not one. Megatherium became extinct around 12,000 years ago, thank gosh, during the Quaternary extinction event, which also claimed most other large mammals in the New World. The extinction coincides with early America's settlement and the kill sites where sloths were slaughtered. I tried. suggesting that humans were out fist fighting these things, aiding in such extinction. Yeah, all of a sudden mammoths are like way less scary. I wonder if they moved as slow too, like a bear the size of an elephant moving in slow motion. So I just like throw it, it's like right here. Just be like, there.
Number 4, Tasmanian tiger. Once native to Australia, of course the land of horrors, the Tasmanian tiger, also known as the thylacine, was a massive carnivorous marsupial that went extinct around the 1930s. Thank the Lord. Major factors here are, as you guessed, climate change, hunting, and its genetic diversity wasn't all too great. Now it's sad on one hand because these beautiful creatures, also kind of terrifying, they disappeared so recently, but it's recent enough that we have a shot at bringing them back. Yeah, I'm just scaring you with this one. I'm like, it's terrifying, right? They're coming back 2024 in IMAX. Yeah, imagine looking outside and seeing this thing on your own front yard. Are we ready for this? I'm not. I've seen a moose once. Very scary, very scary. I was going 40 miles an hour. I was like, that's it. Specimens still remain preserved in jars. Yeah, thank God for those jars. I was wondering what that was in the fridge. A Tasmanian tibia. Nice, yum. In the science world, we already have some of the Tasmanian tiger genes present after scientists inserted them into a mouse fetus. Again, bold, but sure, they did it. One guy thought of that. How gross is that? The Australian Museum has been working hard to bring this beast back to life, only they're still lacking the DNA to fully recreate it. So if you have any jars of Tasmanian tiger parts, lend a helping hand for science, please. Number 3, Spinosaurus. Another Jurassic Park star, and rightfully so. The largest carnivorous dinosaur of all time, even bigger than a T-Rex. Can you imagine that? I feel sick to my stomach already. 93 million years ago, they stopped terrorizing the lands of what is now Egypt and Morocco. Now, if you didn't already guess, its name translates to spine lizard, and that spine was quite long. Coming from me, like, that says a lot. The Spinosaurus would measure up to 60 feet long, and aside for its back, one of the most notable features is its 6-foot long head. Yeah, not neck, 6-foot long head. That's an Egyptian god. That's like, this is terrifying. Its mouth was similar to a crocodile's with straight, sharp teeth. He would just do the alligator smack and then just chomp the shit out of you and yours. Paleontologists from the University of Pennsylvania believe that this guy used to swim as well. Because where the first Spinosaurus fossil was found, that used to be the Beharia Oasis in Egypt, a massive swamp. Water or land, I want nothing to do with it. Long mouth, stretched neck McGee, stinky ancient alligator breath, get out of here. Never. Turtles, not even.
Number 2, Megalania. Megalania. The Varanus priscus. This extinct species of giant monitor lizard is a part of the megafauna that inhabited Australia during the Pleistocene. It is the largest terrestrial lizard known to have existed, reaching an estimated length of 7 meters. Yeah, length of a killer whale, weighing around 5,000 pounds. Megalania is thought to have had very early and similar ecology to the modern Komodo dragon. The fossils of lizards in Australia date back around 50,000 years ago. The First Nations peoples of Australia encountered these ancient dragons, and we actually hunted these things way back. These things can sprint 3 meters a second, Taylor.
God, he's so fast.
Whenever I'm tired at the gym, I'm just gonna picture this giant lizard just like trucking behind me. From its size alone, scientists suggest it would have fed mostly upon large-sized marsupials and mammals such as the Australian lion. Oh, that's good. Yeah, this thing ate lions, dude. With its heavily built limbs and body, a large skull, a jaw full of serrated blade-like teeth, some scientists regard Megalania as the apex predator for the last thousands of years. Yeah, I'd like to think so. It's Australia too, dude. That makes it like 18 times worse. Oh yeah, and it was venomous. Of course. Of course.
And finally, number 1, Titanoboa. The worst for last. Here we go, my sweet bees. The Titanoboa was over 40 feet long. That's 2/3 of a bowling lane. In case you want to imagine it in your head. There you go. Every time you let that ball go, just think, snake, 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 still a snake. That's how long it was. It's quite horrifying. And if we were born 58 million years ago, we'd have to avoid being eaten by this thing. Again, we grew up watching Anaconda, okay? We know how scary these things can be, especially when Angelina Jolie's dad's running the ship. He doesn't know the maps well. He's gonna take it into a swampy area. Snake's gonna come out, ruin the day. Paleontologists found this beast recently. Its fossil was excavated back in 2004, believe it or not, in Colombia near Lake Maracaibo. But it wasn't until 2009 where it was publicly described. Yeah, it took them 5 years to be like, should we tell them? I don't know, why should we? I mean, do we have to? So far, we only have the remains of 30 adult Titanoboas. That's 29 too many, if you ask me. I say we, like ourselves have one? No, we don't have it. Imagine that, I'd be sick. Even people who have snakes as pets, I'm never gonna visit. Sorry, you're alone for the holidays this time. Just you and your snake with a human name for some reason. Enjoy it. He doesn't bite. I'm like, cool. I still don't like him.
Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the Megalodon. I am starting this list off with my favorite prehistoric sea monster, the infamous Megalodon. Megalodons are one of the largest sharks to have ever existed. They were huge, they were terrifying, they were apex predators, and they are the creatures that inspired the tales of Jaws, or the Meg. The teeth on these sharks are so large that they are 3 times larger than the teeth of a modern great white shark. With teeth that size, you can only imagine how large this shark would have been. It's pretty tough to figure out exactly why the Megalodon died out. I mean, they were one of the largest, scariest creatures who shouldn't have had any trouble getting food, but that might not be the case. Some believe it was the cooling water, others believe it was competition for food. Whatever the case, in the end, while the Megalodon is an incredible creature in history, I think we can all breathe a sigh of relief that they aren't swimming around our oceans anymore.
Number 7. The Great Auk. Once thriving in colonies off North Atlantic coasts, the Great Auk would grow 30 inches long, which isn't too scary, but hear me out. It had tiny wings that would only be used to swim. They were only 13 centimeters long. Kinda cute, but again, hear me out. They were small and jarring to look at. I mean, if this thing was coming at me today, I'd certainly have a rough time. But thankfully for hungry sailors, the Great Auk was greatly defenseless. Yeah, oops, sorry, we got a little snacky. Around the 1500s, European fishermen discovered this perfect area for hunting, and it just happened to be where most, if not all, of these great auks were living and thriving. Yeah, Newfoundland looked like the iceberg and club penguin. It was just like, stacked, just looking real good. Now the iceberg and club penguin is gone, as are these guys, so, you know, not a bad bit. Also, I'm broken inside. I miss Club Penguin, RIP. By 1950, the last 2 known specimens were hunted by a single fisherman, hunted on LD Island, just off the coast of Iceland. Scientists plan on using genetic information extracted from their fossils or preserved organs. Remember those jars of organs? Those guys with the random jars of exotic bird pieces? They come in handy apparently. They plan on editing their DNA into the closest living species, which is now the razor-billed auk. So yeah, the organization Revive and Restore is behind the wheel on this one.
Number 6. Horseshoe crab. Horseshoe crabs are marine water arthropods of the family Lemuridae. Despite their name, they're not actually anything like crabs or crustaceans. Then what are they, dude? They're technically chelicerates, most closely related to arachnids like spiders and scorpions. Awesome. Like, what are we looking at here? What is this thing? Fossil records for horseshoe crabs extend back as far as 480 million years ago. Nice, thank God. Wait a second, nope, they're still around. Ha! These shelly dudes like to keep it shallow, however, in murky waters, mostly in Southeast Asia. Horseshoe crabs use hemocyanin to carry oxygen through their blood, which actually turns their blood blue due to the copper in said proteins. This feature is similar to what white blood cells do for us, and because of this, these guys are unfortunately blood harvested every year by us for medicine. Non-lethal, which involves collecting and bleeding the creature and then releasing them back into the sea. Yeah, I'd be way too scared to grab this thing. Are you kidding me? Like, I respect the animal kingdom, but like at a distance.
Number 5. Linenicus. It's not a Decepticon, it's a Linenicus. Close though. If you thought a T-Rex had tiny arms, wait till you see this little dude. Linenicus monodactylus, these guys roamed the lands of Mongolia 65 million years ago. I'm a fan of this dinosaur. Honestly, it's scary, and I get that, but I would honestly own this one as a pet. It was actually just giving other dinosaurs the middle finger its entire life, basically, if you look at them. It had a little arm and 1 finger with 1 claw. That's what kind of situation. It was like Wolverine. It was like the chick from Wolverine, the 1 scratchy thing instead of the 3, she had the 1. Or Deadpool from the X-Men that no one liked. Also 1 blade, that one didn't work. In terms of these other monsters on this list, it's quite small, so, you know, maybe just 1 little kick to the neck, maybe you'll survive. Coming in at the size of a parrot, this little guy laid eggs and carved through everything and anything that snuck into their nest. Yeah, it was a carnivore. So T-Rex, Velociraptor, this little guy, all coming after you. If you don't hit that thumbs up, he's gonna get his middle finger and poke you.
Number 4. The Glyptodon. Basically an ancient armadillo. Yeah. Now we're talking. With its rounded bony shell house and squat limbs, it resembles a giant dinosaur turtle, aging at between 5.3 million to 12,000 years ago. This thing was old. Glyptodon meaning grooved tooth because of its square teeth. This thing was big. 10 feet long and weighing as much as like 4,000 pounds. Like picture a Volkswagen Beetle. This giant armadillo existed in present-day North and South America. Though the Glyptodon had a powerful tail and an armored back made of 1,000 bony plates, it likely lived a fairly peaceful existence. Vegetarian, nice smile, this thing was killing it. It mostly ate grass and never really had to even worry about getting into fights. That being said, the Glyptodon could easily defend itself. I mean, Captain America's shield for a back and a sledgehammer for a tail. It could literally Hulk smash said car. Early hunters likely stalked the Glyptodon for meat and its shell. To kill it, they had to turn it on its back, basically tipping over a car. Yeah, gotta give it up to the early humans. They were badass. And strong.
In our number 3 spot today, we have the Leviathan. If we were to look at our ocean today, we of course would see sharks as one of the top predators that exist. I mean, some sharks are huge, and they certainly know how to hunt, but they aren't the only scary creatures roaming the oceans. Sometimes, killer whales make such a grand appearance that they even scare off some of the most terrifying sharks and make them flee for incredible distances. This is something that was also seen many years ago, I mean millions of years ago, during the time of the Megalodon, and that is thanks to this gigantic creature known as the Leviathan. If you are unfamiliar, this is a now extinct genus of macroraptorial sperm whale. It is believed that they could weigh around 100,000 pounds and reach up to 57 feet in length, and it's thought that their size is what helped repel other predators while also helping them become the predator themselves. The Leviathan also had enormous teeth that reached over a foot in length, which is what gave them the title of largest bite of any tetrapod. In our number 2 spot today, we have the Kronosaurus. This Cretaceous marine reptile is one that had an elongated head, a short neck, and a stiff body that was propelled by not just one, but 2 sets of fins that helped it get through the water and through strong currents in order to capture whatever prey it was after. These guys were somewhere around 30 to 40 feet in length, and they had many long, sharp, conical teeth, with some of them being enlarged to be fangs. So yeah, I mean, what more could you want from a terrifying sea creature? Along with the fossils found of these guys, experts have been able to determine some of the stuff they ate, and it includes turtles as well as other pliosaurs, which these guys are a part of that genus, meaning they basically ate their own family.